Hey guys, Conda here. So today I wanted to talk about awakening to your higher self and what that looks like. And just to give you my experience and with the intention to help you to have more compassion for yourself. The world is now experiencing an awakening and people are really taking their souls and their minds back out of the matrix. The world was set up in a way that everything that you think, do, act, say, it's already been systematically programmed. You think it's your own thoughts. The society that we live in is just a condensation of thoughts, beliefs, habits, patterns that isn't even real. So when you pull yourself out of that matrix, you're using your entire life force to reclaim what has always been yours, which is the divine mind, body, heart, spirit, soul. And now what I thought was healthy is not healthy. What I thought water is clean, it's not clean. What I thought I was, that everything was going to work out fine, I didn't realize I had more internal healing to do. So that's what I mean when you pull yourself out of the matrix, is everything that you thought was real is not. And it'll really shatter your ego, like shatter it, which is needed to happen. So it's like an initiation process, like how in darkness they have certain initiation process. To become the light, you have certain initiation process. The first one is ego death. The first one is like, wow, this failed. Oh, I just lost this job, or everything in reality is collapsing. You're finally waking up out of the matrix, because it takes courage to see what others aren't willing to see because they're scared. So give yourself kudos and credit for actually wanting to see what is already there. The second thing is, after an ego death, that's when you have to decide, okay, I messed up in this area, I did this, am I gonna forgive myself and give myself compassion and grace? If you decide not to, you'll forever be stuck trying to defend your ego. But if you decide to forgive yourself and love yourself, which by the way takes time, Everything that I'm experiencing this now was a 5-year journey, okay? So, because it really started at 18. And now after the ego death, forgiveness, you decide that, and by the way, I'm going to give you guys an analogy. Like, if you decide to forgive yourself, this is what life looks like. Okay, here's the ego death. You forgive yourself, you're loving yourself, you're aligning yourself to the light, you're doing all this stuff. Now, in darkness, you don't forgive yourself, you protect your ego, you continue to hurt, and then eventually you find yourself in covenants of darkness, in the shadow world where it's really hard to pull yourself back out. So it's almost like a split, like between both. It's almost like a pull. It's like, do you choose the light, or do you choose to continue to self-sabotage and run the same programs that has caused your generations to fail? To not necessarily fail, but to continue to repeat the cycle. So ego death, do you forgive yourself? Let's say you forgive yourself, okay? And then now you're going to have to, God is going to go ahead and purge. God, here's up. Okay, I forgive myself. Great. Now we're going to go deep into the depths and the abyss of who you are and your unconscious mind. And we're going to pull out and yank the weed. And when I say yanking the weed, that was like, bro, that was like 4 years of yanking the weed, of constantly like, this is the program, you need to heal it. This is where you're falling short, you need to heal it. This relationship didn't work, you need to work on this. So it wasn't like I was just all happy in relationships, sunshine and rainbows. It was more of like, bro, Conde, like, come on now. And I remember I almost gave up, because this soul journey is almost like a business, like you really got to keep going. And so with that being said, is I continued on this soul journey, and I found myself in a position where I then went deeper into the abyss, where in the month of September, October of this year, okay, that's when it hit, like job loss, leaving a company, relationship, everything, like just, it needed to happen. And now looking back, it was like, because those were the deep, deep parts of me that I just did not want to look at because it hurt that bad. So I'm going to give you an example, right? So I had a couple ego deaths. I learned to forgive myself. I allow God, Jesus Christ, whoever you believe of love and of light, into my life to purge out what doesn't belong. And neglect, abandonment, self-sabotage, negative self-talk, hatred, resentment, anger, everything. Like, those were weeds that God really had to dig deep in, because it was so rooted in my family. The way that you conceive your child at the moment of how you felt, the traumas you hear, that becomes the child. It's almost like copy and paste. And so I knew that if I was to stop this generational curse, I'd have to really go deep. And I lost all motivation. I really stopped taking care of, like, I really stopped working out. The gym didn't feel the same. This need to, like, be big and work and hustle and push and really exercise. Oh, like, get your protein in, like, work hard. When I allowed the feminine and the divine to come into my life, I promise you guys, like, literally, I lost all motivation. My mind I was going out of this world. I was walking in, I was, working and stuff, but my mind was like in limbo between the spiritual world, the ancestral, whatever, the realms. And like, I was here, but my mind was like up there with God. And so that's why it took a lot of energy, because my soul and my mind was just constantly shifting, downloading, healing, condensing it all into a matter of time. I would truly do believe that in the 4 or 5 years that I really didn't really take healing seriously until this year. I truly do believe I healed about literally like 15 years of my life, 15, 16 years of my life in those 5 years. Like how everybody talks about business, if you work hard, you can have the growth. So for me, I cared a lot about my spiritual, my soul. And so I really went on this journey, not really knowing, but with just a desire to feel at peace with myself. Because that was what is important to me. Some people want they want marriage, they want money, but for me it was like the peace of my soul, because only then can I come from a firm foundation. And everyone has deep desires, and it's great, but I also wanted to do it from a place because I knew I wanted to do it from a place of my soul. So that way I'm true to myself. I love who I am. I love what I do. I used to actually people please and become someone that I'm not to gain some type of attraction and attention, and that just wasn't me. So God really pulled out everything. And I remember I was doing Shaman Durek. His name is Shaman Durek. Shout out to Shaman Durek. Really pulled me out of that. I just felt like he came into my life. He had these free meditations that were deeply transformative, like very powerful. And I started journaling, meditating, talking to my spirit guides, to Jesus. And I will say too, is because I stopped working out, because I stopped, it almost felt like I just wanted to give up on life. Like, I don't care about a 9-to-5 job. I could lose it all and be okay. It was almost like every ego-based attachment, self-worth that this matrix has tried to take over, it just like expelled itself. I was almost floating. Not really, I'm feeling things, but I'm not feeling, my mind is out of space. And now it just feels like my soul's back in my body. And it's the weirdest thing, because now I have the drive and the energy. And this was a year's worth of healing my body, healing my mind, healing my soul. And it's not for the faint-hearted. And so here are some signs that you're going through a spiritual awakening. First of all, like, you don't know why you make the decisions, but you feel it even if you have fear. So like, you can let go of a relationship and be like, I don't know why, but it's just not working. The second thing is you're gonna sleep more, and you're gonna be like more isolated. You're gonna feel like the presence of other people is very disturbing, or you're gonna start picking up on energies that just, you're like, I used to hang out with this person, now I don't. You're gonna start questioning what you do. Like, what do you wanna do? Can I actually make money off of my purpose? Can I actually provide? Because another weapon of darkness that I felt like I had to say is false stability. Darkness cannot give you what it doesn't have. God is stable, God is everything. So if you find yourself losing your job, losing the relationship, losing everything, that's not from God. That doesn't mean that person is devilish or whatever, but it just means it's not in alignment with you. And another thing that was deep for me is like, it wasn't that I felt like I lost all motivation. All the motivation, the ego, the drive, the attachment to the worldly things, to if I had this, they will perceive me this way. That's what I meant by like I lost all of that, because it just did not serve my soul. My soul was meant for more. It's limitless. It's not expanded to my status, money, power, fame, which, by the way, a lot of entrepreneurs hide around, and a lot of relationships hide around, is they're just so afraid of tapping into their soul and being okay with losing everything, because you're going to have to at some point in order to gain everything. So those are some signs. And I will say too is I'm also going to talk to you guys about, okay, so I talked about like, okay, the ego death, the forgiveness, and then like the purging of your subconscious mind. The next step is the affirming what is actually true. And so I'm looking at these roses that I had received, and they aren't just flowers. They were a representation of true divine love that I had been praying for, working on myself, being patient, being like empathetic, loving, being kind, giving. And let me show you guys what they look like, because they're very special to me. You can see that. But also, yeah. So when you overcome a night of a dark soul, I guess you can say a spiritual awakening, God will give you like a symbolism that only you know, that God knows. Whether you see monarch butterflies, or whether you see blue jays or cardinals. For me, it's red roses. Roses represent true divine love, right? It's from the heart. And so that's when I realized I'm connected to my heart. You know, I'm where I need to be. I have this energy. And so what I had felt after forgiving myself, after purging the limiting beliefs, I had to tell myself that I was worthy of true divine love. I had to tell myself that abundance is my birthright, and I claim it now. And now I actually can check my mind, and like I can really, really tune into what I'm thinking versus just letting things slide out of my mind. I started cleaning up my diet. So I started herbs, supplements, sunlight, grounding. I've been actually reading this book. I'm almost finished with it, guys, but this is how to build a better relationship with yourself and other people. And so it was like divine timing. I was reading books on emotional intelligence, reading books how to manifest everything. And it was such a wonderful experience, because I was like, this is real. And this happened in a year, you know, like everything. And I could feel God talking about like, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. So I can hear the voice of God so clearly. But before, my body was filled with so much toxins and stress and heavy metals and parasites and mold. However, through ownership, through love, through Jesus really leading me into healing myself, because I always relate to Jesus. Like, I have been able to, I heal my body, I healed my heart, I healed my mind, I healed my spirit, I healed my soul. And I get chills talking about it, guys, because this shit is real. Your soul is real. It's the only thing that you can take after death. And so it's like we invest in businesses and relationships and all that stuff, but we're neglecting the very thing that we're living with every day. That is the inner child. That is the you, the God within you. And so now, you know, I had to overcome limiting beliefs. And I just felt like in my spirit to tell you that there was this one deeply, deeply rooted belief about money. Like I would make a lot, I would just throw it away, or I would invest in things because of fear. And I actually went back into a timeline, and God showed me that when I was lost, I needed stability. And so in that moment was when I stopped receiving the stability from source. And it had happened again and again and again and again and again. And this had all happened when I was 5 years old, 6 years old. And it was at a carnival. And I was running around, my parents weren't there, and some stranger like recognized me. So he sat me down and told me, and I remember like feeling so scared because I wanted my mom and my dad. We were in, I believe, Burma or Thailand at that time. And so I'm a little girl, I'm sitting here, it's dark outside, bright ass lights because it's a carnival, and noise, and I just want stability. And it was the way that it was handled. Like, because I associated abandonment and neglect with someone not showing up for me, and I constantly self-sabotage in relationships, I played this narrative of what I'm given will be taken away. So it's easier for me to let it go than to have to deal with that. But worry is an unconscious praying for things you don't want to happen. That's Michael Beckwith. Shout out to him too. And so I'm just like, oh wow, all because of this. Because I thought if I had something, it'd be taken away. Like, you know, all because I didn't feel the safety. So with money, it represented the opposite. It represented me being a burden. It represented me having to take care of my family, and from a place of like burden, because they would say negative things about how I handled money, and I was just trying to figure out at that time. And so every time I saw money, I would constantly hear like, you're not good enough, you don't know how to manage, you don't even have money saved, like why are you asking us for help? And you know, like when you're just trying to figure yourself out and trying to make something out of yourself, and you need that support and that love, and it's not, you know, reciprocating, you got to figure it all out, like it can be very stressful. And I actually am very grateful I went through that. So that was overcoming of a belief. And now I have a new perspective where money loves me. I earn money, I store money, I scale money, and I generate money easy, frequently and often. And that money just comes to me easily with grace, and that I trust myself. And I had to have an internal dialogue. And by the way, each stage from ego death to confirmation verb, reprogramming of my mind and my belief, each individual one was a skill. It was a skill, and it was like physical action practice, not just, oh, I checked this, I checked this, I checked this. So which is why it really took time for me to feel normal again. And so the last step was now fully living in the God creation. And so what I mean by that is, okay, I've let go of mind that no longer serves. I'm centered in myself. I have these beliefs. Now it's about executing. Like how you go to the gym and you stick to certain weights, certain reps, whatever, you increase your reps, you eat whatever the protein. The same thing in the spiritual aspect is now everything that I have went through, I'm embodying that. And so because there's a huge awakening and people are walking in their soul purpose more and realizing money isn't even real, it's really printed out of thin air, and really just getting out of the victim mindset, why wouldn't it take all your life energy, like just to become someone different, like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly? That's the best example. And I felt in my spirit to tell you guys this too is, I think a lot of people make spirituality and the idea of feminine very, oh, just flowers and candy. The feminine doesn't even, it's not even a woman trait. It's an eternal trait, meaning the feminine is the loving. A man can be feminine as well as masculine, okay? I felt like I had to clear that up. There's nothing wrong with being compassionate, caring, kind, and because you're building a greater relationship with yourself that God would want, people go where they're welcomed and they stay where they're valued. So you want to make yourself and who you are and love yourself a safe, amazing, loving, supportive place. Only then can you manifest that. And so I just felt that to tell you guys that like, it's all worth it, because it didn't matter if I had the Lambo or the car or the relationship if I did not take the time to invest in relationship with self. And I think the world is really waking up to that. Like outside of chasing money and women and men and whatever, it's almost like when you allow this purging, this breaking to happen to you, like that world doesn't really exist because you're operating on a different world. And I remember I used to listen to like Sexy Red, trap music, and you know, there's nothing judging. First of all, there's nothing judging there. I'm simply just saying I was listening to music that was not aligned with what God wanted me to listen to. And so with that being said, was I had to, once I elevated my soul, and you really love yourself, you listen to things, you say things, you eat things that love you back. And so that's when the whole idea of like taking herbs, listening to music, and there'll be days where I fall out of that. And that is completely normal, because it's not like you become this automatic guru. You're still gonna have that push and pull effect. And if I can say one thing is, I honestly never thought that I would be understood. And then God sent me someone that understands me. I never thought that I'd connect with my soul tribe. And then God sent me, I call her my cousin, but we grew up in the same camp, and now we're chatting it up. And I used to have emotional trauma with my mother, and you know how that goes. And so really just overcoming beliefs, purging. And so it's like, wow, I do have healthy friendships. I do have healthy relationship with myself, healthy relationship with family. I'm healthier. I'm more awakened than I've ever been. And the best part is I don't associate my worth with worldly things. I don't associate my worth with like money in my account anymore. And I'm at a point in my life where I stopped following people that just were not in sync with my soul, even though they're externally successful, and I'm okay with that. And just being brave enough to live in your truth and what you want. And I just love my life right now. There's just so much joy and peace and prosperity and love, and I'm always protected by Jesus Christ, Yeshua. I'm always loved, and I'm just, good luck follows me. I'm blessed, and I'm really excited to share this video with you, just in hopes that you're almost there. You're so close. Every energy that you felt in investing in yourself, it'll multiply. And I also felt in my spirit before I close with this video to say that, like, it took I couldn't even talk to people. Like the last 3 months, I just was in my own world, working on me, like really just investing in me. And I just didn't have the capacity to entertain. I didn't want to, because I can't go my whole life now trying to please other people when this feeling of my desire for peace outweighs my desire for suffering. And now looking back, like, oh, that's why I slept a lot. That's why I constantly want to take a nap, because it takes so much energy. But all of that energy that has been taken into healing you, some way, somehow, it's almost like you'll now wake up and have more energy. You'll be living from your heart. And in a world that's telling you to focus on your mind, like you'll actually be living in your heart. And I'm really, really excited for that, because this is going to be a journey that I feel like people are going to really thank in the future. But it's not like they're feeling all these things now. It takes time. So allow yourself to be patient. Growth takes time. It takes energy. And be nice to yourself, please. By the grace of God, be nice to yourself. I love you guys, and I hope you have a great day today, and that this video gives a little bit of hope to you, that you're where you need to be, and to be gentle with you, because this is your first time being a human in this world right now. So take it easy. You got it, okay?